Hey everybody, welcome to the Honors Leadership and Learning course structure overview video. First thing we're going to talk about is enrollment. This is a year-long course that takes place on either an A day or a B day. And each student enrolled in this course is going to be assigned to a teacher of record, which will commonly be referred to throughout most of the coursework as TOR, just to make it easier. The teacher of record is based on information that was provided by you in the application process, as well as availability. So we try our very hardest to match each student who is interested in this course with a teacher of record that is in a content area that you are interested in as well. The teacher of record is who you will work with to complete content-specific tasks that relate to leadership in the classroom, who will give you feedback on your Canvas work, and who will enter all grades into PowerSchool. Basically, this is the person that you're going to go to and that you're going to work with throughout the duration of this course. So this course is a combination of leadership work and content work. And so we want to be really clear about what that means and what that's going to look like. So it's a blend of leadership-specific work that will be completed in Canvas with leadership and content-specific work to be completed in the classroom with the teacher of record. And so what that means is you're going to have Canvas-specific work that anybody enrolled in this course, regardless of your teacher of record, you're going to have the same coursework. But you're going to have different coursework that's content-specific that is related to and based on your teacher of record and the content that you are serving, the role that you're serving in with that content. You'll interact with other students enrolled in this course through the Canvas discussion board posts, but there is not an actual class where all the assistants will be together, and that's because you're each paired with a teacher that you are interested in that actual content. So the checklist structure is going to be a 2-week checklist, and all students enrolled in this course will have that same 2-week checklist, and the 2 weeks will be a 5-day because it's A day or B day. So most weeks are 5 weeks or 5 days, and that will have the same leadership specific Canvas work and cycle project work. So again, no matter who your teacher of record is, you will have the same leadership specific Canvas work and the same cycle project work, but you'll have space to write in content and leadership specific information as it pertains to your role as a teacher assistant for your teacher of record. So that's where it's going to get really individual and really specific, is depending on who your teacher of record is, you're going to have very different work from somebody else taking the course. Like if somebody's taking if someone's a TA for Miss Monica, you'll have very, very different work than someone who is a TA for Don Andres in Spanish. There are 4 main leadership themes for the year, with each main theme consisting of several smaller sub-themes that will be explored during each checklist in the Canvas work and in the cycle project. And those are all explained in Canvas, very detailed. So each week in Canvas has its own theme. Each week of each checklist has its own theme. The course differs from other courses in that the checklist has specific tasks to be completed on different days. And so what that means is you might have one day where you're only planning for your teacher assistant role for your teacher of record, or you might have one day where you're only working on Canvas or the cycle project, which may or may not happen in the teacher of record's classroom. You may be in the media center, you may be in the classroom, but you may not be. And so here's a further detailed breakdown of the checklist. And this is a potential checklist breakdown. Again, this is really dependent on your teacher of record. The part that's not dependent on the teacher of record is the percent breakdown. So every student, regardless of who your teacher of record is, will have 25% Canvas work, 25% of this course will be dedicated to cycle project work, and then your teacher assistant work will be 50% of this course. So the bulk of this course is teacher assistant work with supplementary Canvas and cycle project work that are leadership specific. So, of the 5 days, as I was saying earlier, it's going to be really dependent on who your teacher of record is and what your content is. But of the 5 days, you can plan on one of those days be dedicated towards planning for TA responsibilities for the following 2 week checklist. In that planning process, you'll receive a teacher assistant planning template, but that process itself is a collaborative effort between you and your teacher of record, and that will guide your TA work for the following checklist. One day, the next day you can plan on teacher assistant work, another day of teacher assistant work, one full day of Canvas and or cycle project work, and that's on you. That depends on how you want to spend that day. You might say, I want to do all of my Canvas work at school, or you might say, I want to do all of my cycle project work at school, or you might say, I want to do a little bit of Canvas and a little bit of cycle project work at school, and then do a little bit of each of those for homework. And then that following the last day of the 5 day checklist would be another day of teacher assistant work. So it all roughly breaks down to be about 50% TA work, 25% Canvas, 25% project work. And the homework for this course is mainly any Canvas or cycle project work that you don't do on that day that you do it in class. So there's not really going to be teacher assistant work for homework. It's mainly going to be Canvas or your cycle project work. And as far as time goes, no more than 30 minutes of homework per night dedicated towards Canvas and cycle project. And that is if you are managing your time well. So if at any point you feel like you're not managing your time well and things are starting to slip, please advocate for yourself and communicate with your teacher of record so that you can work together to come up with a plan that works for everybody. Okay, so the Canvas work that I mentioned in the last slide, here's a little bit of a breakdown of what that looks like. So for each checklist, you'll have one leadership assignment, and you'll complete a general leadership assignment that focuses on the cycle and the checklist theme. So let's say cycle one's theme is responsibility, and then the first sub theme of cycle one is accountability. So the first leadership assignment for cycle one, week two checklist is going to be on accountability. All leadership assignments are informal percents in PowerSchool, and they have a rubric, and that rubric is posted in Canvas, so you know what's expected. The next type of Canvas work is a history of leadership assignment. History of leadership assignments will not occur all year. They'll occur until you complete them, which is going to be into cycle two. And so you'll have a really good solid foundation for learning about the history of leadership and where did leadership start and what are the different types of leadership styles and who are the prominent people involved in the history of leadership and how were those different types of leadership styles perceived by others. So that's where you'll get a good solid overview of that. And you'll complete assignments related to that focus also on the cycle and checklist theme once per checklist, and those will also be an informal percent in PowerSchool. The next thing you'll have in Canvas are 2 discussion board posts per checklist. One of them will be related to the leadership assignment that I mentioned 2 bullet points ago, and the other one will be related to your role as a teacher assistant. And so discussion board posts are an opportunity for you to involve yourself in communication with the other teacher assistants that you won't see on a day-to-day basis because they're not going to be in your class with your teacher of record. But it'll give you a chance to communicate and to collaborate with other teacher assistants on the leadership assignments and on your general role as a teacher assistant so that you have some support from your peers as well. The last Canvas work for the checklist will be a leadership rubric. The leadership rubric is really an integral part of this class. This is a leadership class, and so your leadership rubric you'll complete once per checklist as a way to really see where you are with your leadership. And it's always going to relate to the cycle and to the checklist sub themes. It'll relate to your work in Canvas. It'll relate to your work as a teacher assistant. And these, because it's leadership, are going to be formal. So these are a percent formal grade in PowerSchool. Late work will follow the school policy, and we'll go over what that is more in the first week of school. And it'll be detailed in Canvas. But just as a general rule of thumb, know that it will follow the general school policy for late work. The pacing of Canvas assignments and homework. So to give you an idea of how long things should take, because you have about one full class period dedicated to Canvas and cycle project work. So to help you manage your time, we have designated a time amount to each of the different categories. Discussion posts should take no more than 15 minutes apiece, and there are 2 per checklist. So that's 30 minutes total spent on discussions. The leadership assignment should at the most take 1 hour, and those will vary. Some will take you 20 minutes, but they will not take you more than 1 hour. The history of leadership assignment will not take you more than 30 minutes. The leadership rubric should not take you more than 30 minutes. So that rubric is going to be a combination of seeing where you fall and setting goals and some reflection. So there'll be some writing and typing involved as well with that, which is why that's a little bit longer than you might expect. And then homework, as I mentioned earlier, no more than 30 minutes times 5 classes. That's for a 2-week checklist. Homework will consist mainly of your cycle project work and your Canvas work. And again, there's student choice of what to work on in class and what to complete at home. So that is up to you to decide what you want to do where. And the last thing we'll talk about is the cycle project. Each cycle will have a project that relates to the theme and the sub-themes, and each project will have the following components. It'll have a self-assessment, it will have some kind of problem to solve, and with that problem to solve, you'll do research and an interview process. There'll be an action step of some kind, so that's some type of action that's taken with regards to the problem to solve. There may be some kind of product involved with your action. And then there'll be a reflection step. And so those steps will be very clearly broken down for you over the course of the whole cycle with specific due dates. You'll have a section of your project due each week of your checklist. So it's very easy for you to manage and for you to stay on top of. Assessing for the cycle project, each component will be an informal percent, and all of those informal percents will be averaged for one final project grade. That's a formal percent at the end. So you'll have several smaller component informal percents in PowerSchool, and then one formal project grade that is an average of all the informal percents. And that basically counts as your test grade for each cycle. The cycle project themes and topics, what they are for cycle 1 is a self-study. So with leadership, you always have to start with yourself and a deep dive into all of your different habits and who you are as a person. And so for this first one, we're going to focus it on adolescence and different topics involved in adolescence that all contribute to who you are as a person. And then that relates to who you are as a leader. So sleep, diet, exercise, social media habits, quality time with family and friends, leisure, and then optional job. So if you work a job, that would be something to include in your self-study. Cycle 2 will be a home study. Cycle 3 will be a school study, and cycle 4 will be a community study. Community could be neighborhood, city, state, or world, depending on where you want to go with that. There's a very detailed cycle project overview guide for each cycle of study project, and it's all going to be completed in Canvas. So I hope that this video gives you a really detailed overview of the logistics for this course, and I truly hope that you have an amazing time investigating who you are as a leader and who you show up as each day in your role as a teacher assistant, and that ultimately at the end of the day, the goal is for you to grow through this experience and for you to have an amazing time growing. Growing isn't always easy. It's not always going to be something that's fun. And at the end of the day, our goal is for you to look back on this experience and be thankful that you did it and own your role as a leader.